All right. Hello, Theo. Mr. Chappa here. I thought it would be easier for me to set up and work this problem on video to explain what I think might have happened to get the answer that you did. Looking at the work that you had sent me, it looked like you had a pretty good idea of what's going on. There are a couple of things about this problem that actually makes it rather difficult to get started. And they both revolve around the divisor, the dividend, the first part, the negative 90x squared plus 12x to the fourth minus 162. There's two problems with it. Number one, the powers are out of order. The powers, when you're doing long division, should be written from highest power to lowest power. And so we're going to rearrange those terms. But the other thing that's wrong with it, and this one's a little more disguised, if you will, there's some missing powers. The highest power is 4 right here. Hold on, getting ready to highlight. The highest power is 4. It's right there. And when you see a fourth power, where's the camera? When you see a fourth power, you should see a third, a second, a first, and no power. Well, I don't see a third power of x, and I don't see a first power of x. So as I'm as I'm rewriting this problem in a little long division house, I'm going to fix the dividend, the part under the square, under the division sign. First, we're going to start with the highest power, 12x to the fourth. And normally we would see an x to the third power next. And since we don't see one, we're going to hold its place with a 0 coefficient, plus 0x to the third power. Followed by an x squared term, and the x squared term in the dividend is negative 90x squared. Followed by the x term, and the x term is missing. There is no term with just an x. So just like the third power, just like the missing third power, we're going to represent the missing first power with plus 0x. And you can put 0x to the first if you want to, but the one's kind of understood to be there, followed by the constant minus 162. And then we'll write our divisor 2x plus 6 on the outside. The divisor is not missing any terms, and its powers are in order from highest to lowest, x to the first power, and then no x's. I'm going to pause this and move the actual division problem up so that I'll have room to work it below. Excuse me. All right, let's get started. We're going to start by dividing the leading term of the divisor, which is the 12x to the fourth power. 1 second, I didn't like the width of that line. We're going to divide 12x to the fourth power by the leading term of the divisor by 2x. There's a couple of ways to do this. You can literally set up a division problem as a fraction. You can write 12x to the fourth over 2x, and then you can divide 12 by 2 to get 6, and then subtract powers. 4 minus 1 is 3, and then write 6x to the third on the top. Or you could ask yourself a different question. The question is, what would I put up here so that when I multiplied by 2x, it would turn it into 12x to the fourth? And for some people, that question is easier. For example, what would I multiply by 2 to get 12? And the answer is I would multiply 6 by 2 to get 12. And how many x's, so we don't know the power, how many x's, hold on, how many x's would I have to give that x to turn into x to the fourth? And the answer is I'd have to give it 3 more x's. So our first term in our divisor is 6x to the third power. Now, once you've determined that, then multiply the first term in the quotient, 6x to the third, times the entire divisor. So it's going to get distributed to both halves, and write both results underneath the terms of the dividend. So let's just take it one piece at a time. We're going to multiply, let's do some highlighting here. We're going to multiply 6x to the third times 2x and put the answer here. 6x to the third times 2x. We'll just take it piece by piece. 6 times 2 is 12. X to the third times x is x to the fourth. Okay, and now we're going to multiply the 6x to the third, hold on, times the positive 6, and we're going to put that answer right here. Okay, 6x to the third times positive 6. Well, positive times positive is positive. 6 times 6 is 36. X to the third times no more x's keeps it x to the third. And that is the end of the multiplication portion. All right, let's clean this up a little bit because it's getting a little bit messy. Don't think we need boxes around those anymore, nor do we need these arrows. All right, our next move is to subtract. But when you subtract, you have to subtract everything that you just brought down. And you can just write parentheses and then a minus in front, but then you're going to have to distribute the parentheses anyway. So the easier thing to do, in my opinion, is just go ahead and distribute the negative. Basically, it changes the signs of the terms you just wrote down. The 12x to the fourth here is going to be switched from positive to negative, and the positive 36x to the third is going to switch from positive to negative, and then we combine like terms. What should happen is the leading term should cancel. You design them to match, and then you're subtracting. And over here, we have 0x cubed and negative 30. Let me highlight. Over here, we have positive 0x cubed and negative 36x cubed. Well, 0 and negative 36 is negative 36. And like terms stay like terms when you add or subtract, so it's negative 36x to the third. All right, let's clean this up, and then we'll do the next step. Okay, that didn't take long to clean up. All right, so our next move now is to divide the leading term of the dividend, which is currently, I'm sorry, that is not the next move. The next move is to bring down the next term, and the next term is negative 90x squared. And now we repeat the process that we just did. We're going to divide the leading term of the divisor, which now stands at negative 36x cubed, by the leading term of the leading term of the dividend, negative 36x cubed, divided by the leading term of the divisor, 2x. And again, we got a couple of options on how to look at this. We can either literally put negative 36x cubed on top of 2x and do the division. Negative 36 divided by 2 is negative 18. And on the x's, you subtract the powers. 3 minus 1 is 2 and get negative 18x squared. Or you can ask the question, what would I put here so that when I multiply it by 2x, it turns it into negative 36x cubed? Well, let's start with the signs. Whatever's here plus or minus wise has to multiply by a positive to turn it into a negative, which means we have to have a negative. And whatever number goes here has to multiply by 2 to turn it into 36. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And the number of x's we put has to turn 1x into 3 x's, so it needs 2 more x's. So times an x squared. And then multiply. So you see, we're just doing the same steps over and over again. I really think the only reason you missed it is because you had a sign issue, a sign error, if you will. All right, we're going to multiply negative 18x squared. So this, let's get rid of these red boxes. I don't think we need them anymore. We're going to multiply negative 18x squared times both of the terms in the divisor and write the final results down here where we currently are underneath the dividend. Let's take it one term at a time, starting with the 2x. Okay, let's just take it piece by piece. We're doing negative 18x squared times 2x. First off, negative times positive is negative. I got those blue arrows too far over. Negative times positive is negative. 18 times 2 is 36, and x squared times x is x cubed, but not a real surprise. We were expecting those to match. And now let's multiply the negative 18x squared times the positive 6. Negative times positive is negative. 18 times 6 is 108. And then x squared times no x's leaves us x squared. Okay. Now let's do the subtraction move. And remember, the subtraction move, you subtract the entire result that you just got, but when the negative gets distributed, it's going to change the signs. So it's easier, in my opinion, to just change the signs of the individual terms. The negative 36x cubed becomes positive 36x cubed. The negative 108x squared becomes positive 108x squared. And then we combine like terms. The negative 36x cubed and the positive 36x cubed will cancel. That was by design. And when we add the negative 90x squared and the positive 108x squared, we're going to get another x squared term, When you add a positive and a negative, the larger number decides the sign. Since 108 is larger, the result's going to be positive. And when you combine a positive and a negative, you subtract. 108 minus 90 is 18. We have 18x squared. Then we bring down the next term, which is positive 0x. And we do it all over again. So it's just lather, rinse, repeat, lather, rinse, repeat. Just do it all over and over again. All right, let's get rid of these blue arrows up here. And let's focus on the leading terms. In the current leading term in the dividend is positive 18x squared. And the leading term in the divisor is still 2x. So what will we multiply by 2x to get 18x squared, more specifically positive 18x squared? Well, positive times positive is positive, so we need a plus there. 1 second. A plus here. To turn 2 into 18, we multiply by 9. And to turn x into x squared, we multiply by another x. And it was right here in your work where you had a negative x there. That tells me, what that tells me is what probably happened, and I could be wrong here, but what probably happened is when you did this problem here, you probably accidentally said the sum was negative 18x squared instead of positive 18x squared. Had you done that, then that would have resulted in a negative up here, and then the rest would have followed. So I'm betting if you want to go back and retrace your steps, when you did this move here, I bet you wrote down negative 18x squared instead of positive 18x squared. All right, let's go ahead and finish this. I'm going to go through this a little bit more quickly now because I wanted to get to the spot where I thought you were making your mistake. I could have been wrong. All right, we're going to multiply positive 9x times the entire divisor and write the result down here. All right, positive 9x times positive 2x is positive 18x squared. Almost said positive 18x, but we're multiplying, so x times x is x squared. And then positive 9x times positive 6 is positive 54x. Okay, let's get rid of all the stuff we don't need. The only problem with drawing all these squares and arrows and stuff is that they get in the way. You don't have to draw them when you're doing the problem. I do it for instructional purposes. All right, we're going to switch the signs. So we'll go ahead and just subtract by switching these signs and then combine like terms. The 18x squareds cancel as expected. And here we get 0 and negative 0x and negative 54x is negative 54x. Because I'm out of room on the bottom, I'm just going to put the result up here. And then bring down the next term, which will be the last term to bring down negative 162. So just pretend that this is parked underneath there. All right, let's do it one more time. Getting everything ready. All right, we need to divide negative 54x by positive 2x. Well, 1 second. To turn positive into negative, I need to multiply by negative. To turn 2 into 54, I need to multiply by 27. You could find that by dividing 54 by 2. And it's got the correct number of x's. In other words, we've got a single x there and a single x there, so we don't have to fix the x's. Our last multiplier is negative 27. And if we multiply negative 27 times 2x is negative 54x, which we expected. Negative 54x. And then negative 27 times positive 6. Well, negative times positive is negative. And 27 times 6, let's see, it's 120 and 4. It's exactly 162. All right, this doesn't normally happen in a long division problem, but it can happen where you're going to get a remainder of 0. It's not immediately obvious. I'm sorry, I keep yawning. I haven't had much caffeine today. It's not immediately obvious, but when we do the subtraction move by changing the minus 54x to positive 54x and this minus 162 to positive 162, and then these cancel, and so to the 162 is giving a remainder of 0. And therefore, our quotient at the top is 6x to the third power minus 18x squared plus 9x minus 27.